My child, stop scrolling right now. The fact that you are hearing these words at this exact moment is not an accident. You think you found this message, but the truth is, I brought you here because your soul was crying out to me even when your lips said nothing. I have watched you carry pain you could not explain. I have seen the exhaustion hidden behind your smile. I know about the nights when you sat alone, staring into the darkness, wondering how much longer you could keep pretending to be strong. And I need you to hear me carefully now, because what I am about to say will change the way you see your entire life. The version of you that almost gave up was never abandoned. The version of you that almost walked away, almost shut down completely, almost disappeared under the weight of the pressure, you were never alone. I was there. I was holding you together while everything inside you was breaking apart. You called it survival, but it was my hand. You thought you were somehow managing to hold yourself together, but my child, there were moments when you had no strength left at all. There were days when your heart was hanging by a thread and your mind was drowning in fear, confusion, disappointment, and silent battles nobody knew about. You kept telling people you were fine because you did not want anyone to see how tired you really were. But I saw it. I saw every hidden tear you wiped away quickly before someone noticed. I heard every silent cry you buried deep inside your chest because you thought nobody would understand. I watched you lie awake at night replaying every mistake, every rejection, every painful memory, wondering why life became so heavy. And still, even then, I never moved away from you. I stayed close to you when you could not even feel me. I wrapped my arms around you when you felt completely empty. I carried you through moments you do not even realize you survived. There was a night when you almost quit completely. You remember it. Maybe nobody else knows about it, but I do. I remember the way your heart felt numb. I remember the way hopelessness tried to sit on your chest like a weight too heavy to move. I remember how tired you were of fighting battles that never seemed to end. You asked yourself if anything would ever change. You wondered if your life would always feel this painful, this confusing, this lonely. And in that moment, when you thought nobody saw you, heaven was watching closely. I was there in the room with you. I was listening to every thought racing through your mind. And when darkness whispered that your story was over, I spoke louder. I would not let you disappear. I would not let pain become your ending. I blocked the exit the enemy wanted you to take because your purpose was too important to lose. You keep asking why you are still here after everything that tried to break you. This is why. Because I was not finished with you. The enemy thought the pressure would destroy you. He thought the betrayal would harden your heart forever. He thought the disappointment would silence your faith. He thought the loneliness would convince you that nobody cared whether you lived or disappeared. But he underestimated my power over your life. He underestimated the plans I placed inside you before you were even born. My child, there were attacks you never saw. There were dangers you never knew existed because I stood in front of them before they reached you. There were moments when destruction came close, but my hand put it back. There were doors you begged me to open, but I sealed them shut because they would have damaged your future. There were people you cried over losing, but I removed them because they carried poison into your destiny. You thought I was rejecting you, but I was protecting you. I know there were moments when my silence confused you. I know you wondered why prayers seemed unanswered while your heart kept breaking in secret. But even when you could not hear me clearly, I was still working behind the scenes of your life. I was arranging things you could not see yet. I was keeping you alive through storms that should have swallowed you completely. You are not breathing today because you were lucky. You are not standing today because you were stronger than everyone else. You are here because I personally refused to let darkness take you away from the future I planned for you. Every breath in your lungs is proof that my hand is still covering your life. My child, listen to me carefully now because this part matters deeply. Stop believing the lie that you are forgotten. Stop believing the lie that your life has no meaning. Stop believing the lie that your brokenness disqualified you from being loved by me. The enemy wanted you ashamed of your scars because he knew those scars would one day become proof that I kept you alive through every battle. You survived things that should have destroyed your peace completely. You walked through seasons that nearly drained every ounce of hope from your spirit. And still, here you are. Bruised, tired, wounded perhaps, but still breathing. Still standing. Still listening to my voice right now. That is not weakness, my child. That is evidence of my faithfulness over your life. Do you understand how many times I stepped in without you even realizing it? There were accidents that never happened because I protected you. There were emotional breakdowns that should have consumed you, but I strengthened your spirit quietly. There were moments when fear nearly took control of your mind, but I calmed the storm before it swallowed you. Even when you were angry with me, doubting me, questioning everything, I still stayed beside you because my love for you does not disappear when your faith becomes weak. I know how human you are. I know how deeply you feel things. I know how heavy this life has felt for you lately. But I need you to understand this now more than ever before. You are not carrying yourself alone. Type yes. Lord, I trust you with everything if you're resting in His plan. The reason this message found you today is because I need to wake something up inside your spirit. I need you to stop seeing yourself as abandoned. I need you to stop calling yourself forgotten when heaven still speaks your name with love. You have spent too much time believing your pain was proof that I left you. No, my child. Your survival is proof that I stayed. I was there in every dark room. I was there in every lonely drive home. I was there in every anxious morning and every sleepless night. I was there when your tears fell onto your pillow. I was there when your heart chattered quietly in places nobody could see. And I am still here now. Do not scroll away from this moment. Do not treat this like another message that briefly comforts you before you return to hopelessness again. I need these words to settle deep into your soul because they are truth. The version of you that almost quit deserves to hear this now. I kept you alive for a reason. I blocked the exit because your story still carries purpose. I sealed that door shut because darkness does not get the final word over your life. There is still healing ahead of you. There is still joy you have not experienced yet. There are still prayers waiting to be answered. There are still people your story will help one day. There is still purpose breathing inside you even if exhaustion has blinded you from seeing it clearly. So stay, my child. Stay through the confusion. Stay through the healing process. Stay even when you do not understand what I am doing yet. Stay when the pain tells you to disappear. Stay when fear whispers that nothing will ever change. Stay because I am not finished with you yet. Stay because my hand is still covering your life. Stay because there are chapters of your story you have not lived yet. Stay because one day you will look back at this season and realize the only reason you survived was because I never stopped holding you. And I never will. My beloved child, there is something I need you to understand before you move any further. I saw everything. Not just the moments people witnessed on the outside, not just the smile you forced when others were around, not just the words you allowed yourself to speak aloud. I saw the hidden version of you. I saw the tiredness living deep behind your eyes. I saw the pressure building inside your chest while you kept pretending everything was under control. I saw how hard you tried to keep functioning while your soul quietly begged for rest. And I need you to know that none of it escaped my attention. Not one tear, not one fearful thought, not one exhausted breath. I was there through all of it. You became so used to carrying pain silently that eventually you stopped expecting anyone to notice. You trained yourself to survive quietly because you feared becoming a burden to others. So you learned how to smile while your heart was breaking. You learned how to answer people with "I'm okay" even when nothing inside you felt okay at all. But my child, I heard the words you never said out loud. I heard the conversations you had with yourself late at night when nobody else was around. I heard the fear in your thoughts. I heard the hopelessness trying to convince you that things would never improve. I heard the exhaustion in your spirit when you whispered, "I cannot keep doing this anymore," and even then, I stayed close to you. There were nights when you lay awake staring into darkness, unable to quiet your thoughts. Your body was tired, but your mind refused to rest. Pain kept replaying inside you like a storm that would not end. You remembered disappointments. You replayed betrayals. You questioned your worth. You wondered why certain people hurt you the way they did. You wondered why prayers seemed delayed while your heart kept growing heavier. And slowly, quietly, without even realizing it, you started losing hope that things could truly change. But while you were fighting those invisible battles alone, heaven was watching over you carefully. I never once looked away from your suffering. I saw the nights when tears fell onto your pillow because you finally reached the point where you could not pretend anymore. I saw you covering your mouth so nobody would hear you cry. I saw the moments when loneliness became so heavy that even breathing felt exhausting. And my child, I need you to hear me clearly now because this truth matters deeply. Your pain was never invisible to me. People may have overlooked your struggles. People may have misunderstood your silence. Some may have assumed you were strong simply because you kept showing up every day. But I knew the truth. I knew how close you were to breaking completely. I knew how much effort it took just to survive ordinary days. There were moments when your heart became so overwhelmed that you questioned whether your existence even mattered anymore. You felt emotionally drained from carrying disappointments for too long. You became tired of waiting, tired of hoping, tired of fighting battles that never seemed to end. Some mornings you woke up already exhausted before the day even began. You smiled in front of others while secretly wondering how much longer you could keep going like this. And there were moments when darkness whispered dangerous lies into your spirit. Lies telling you that nobody would care if you disappeared. Lies telling you that your future held nothing worth staying for. Lies telling you that you were too broken to heal. But those lies were never from me. Please support our channel. Our work is to bring happiness in your life and devotion to God. And if you want, you can donate to us, given link in description or pinned comment to show your support. My child, there is something you still do not fully understand about your life. The enemy was trying to wear your soul down slowly. He wanted discouragement to become your identity. He wanted exhaustion to become normal for you. He wanted you to believe you were abandoned so that eventually you would stop fighting for your future altogether. He studied your wounds carefully. He'd attacked the places where you already felt insecure. He used disappointment to make you question your value. He used delay to make you doubt my promises. He used betrayal to make you fearful of trusting anyone again. But even while darkness tried surrounding your mind, I remained beside you, protecting parts of your spirit you did not even realize were under attack. Do you remember the moments when you felt completely numb? Moments when you stopped feeling excitement, stopped feeling joy, stopped feeling motivated to keep trying. You scared yourself sometimes because you no longer recognized the person you were becoming. You felt emotionally distant even from people you loved. You became tired of explaining your pain because it seemed like nobody fully understood. So instead, you carried everything alone. But my beloved child, you were never created to carry this weight by yourself. I never intended for your heart to suffer in silence while pretending to be strong for everyone else. I saw the moments when you almost gave up on your dreams because disappointment became too painful. I saw you questioning your purpose because life felt nothing like you imagined it would. I saw the fear that whispered, maybe nothing good is coming anymore. I saw how deeply rejection wounded you. I saw how abandonment changed the way you viewed yourself. And I saw how secretly you blamed yourself for things that were never your fault to carry. My child, you have been far too cruel to your own heart. You keep punishing yourself for not healing faster. You keep criticizing yourself for feeling weak after surviving painful things. But healing is not weakness. Grief is not failure. Needing comfort does not make you broken. There was a particular night when your spirit became dangerously tired. You remember it even now. The room felt heavy. Your thoughts felt unbearable. And for a moment, you truly wondered if you had any strength left at all. You felt trapped inside your own pain. You felt emotionally cornered by hopelessness. And while nobody else knew how serious that moment was, I knew. Heaven knew. I was standing beside you while you silently fought one of the hardest battles of your life. And when darkness tried convincing you that ending everything would finally bring peace, I wrapped my presence around you tighter than ever before. You may not have felt me clearly then, but I was carrying you through that moment with my own hands. My child, the reason you survived that season is not because you were stronger than your pain. It is because I refused to let darkness claim your future. You were being held together by grace even while your emotions were falling apart. I strengthened you quietly in ways you still cannot fully explain. There were mornings you somehow got out of bed even though your soul felt exhausted. There were moments you kept moving forward without understanding where the strength was coming from. That strength came from me. I breathed life into you when hopelessness tried stealing it away. I reminded your spirit to keep fighting even when your mind wanted to surrender completely. I know you still carry scars from those nights. I know certain memories still hurt deeply. Sometimes you still fear falling back into that dark emotional place again. But listen carefully now, my beloved child. You are not the same person you were in that season. You survived things that changed you. You walked through valleys that force your spirit to grow stronger. And even though you still feel tired sometimes, there is now a deeper strength inside you because I carried you through what should have destroyed you. Do not be ashamed of your survival story. Do not hide the fact that life nearly overwhelmed you. Some of the strongest souls are the ones who quietly survived battles nobody else ever saw. And one day, the pain you thought would end you will become proof that I never abandoned you. One day, your scars will speak hope into someone else's darkness. One day, you will realize that even in your weakest moments, my love never loosened its grip on your life. So when those old thoughts try returning, when fear whispers that you are alone again, remember this moment. Remember my voice speaking directly into your spirit now. I saw every tear. I heard every cry. I stayed through every dark night. And I will continue staying beside you no matter what battles still come ahead. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are not too broken to heal. I kept you alive because your story is not over yet. And my child, I promise you this with all the love in my heart. The nights that almost destroyed you will not have the final word over your life. I will. My precious child, there is a truth hidden inside your story that you have not fully understood yet. You keep looking at your survival as if it happened because you somehow found enough strength inside yourself to keep going. You tell yourself that maybe you were simply stubborn enough to endure the pain, disciplined enough to survive the pressure, strong enough to outlast the darkness. But my child, if you could see your life the way heaven sees it, you would fall to your knees in tears realizing how many times my hand personally stepped in to keep you alive. What you called survival was never just survival. It was my protection surrounding you every single day. You only saw the visible battles. You only saw the tears, the heartbreak, the confusion, the exhaustion. But there were invisible battles happening around you constantly that you never even knew existed. There were moments when danger moved toward your life quietly, and before it could reach you, I blocked it. There were plans forming against your peace that never fully succeeded because I stood between you and destruction. There were people who carried harmful intentions into your life, but I exposed them before they could completely damage your future. You thought certain situations ended randomly, but they ended because I intervened. There were doors you cried over when they closed. You begged me to let certain opportunities work out. You asked me why relationships ended, why plans collapsed, why people walked away, why things you wanted so badly suddenly disappeared from your life. And in your pain, you thought I was rejecting you. But my beloved child, I was protecting you from futures that would have broken you in ways you were not prepared to survive. You saw rejection. I saw danger ahead. You saw loss. I saw preservation. You saw disappointment. I saw rescue. You still do not know how many times I saved you from situations that looked harmless on the surface but carried destruction underneath. There were conversations you almost entered that would have poisoned your spirit. There were places you almost went that would have shifted your life in painful directions. There were people you trusted who secretly carried jealousy, manipulation, and darkness in their hearts. But I would not allow certain doors to stay open because I love you too deeply to watch your destiny become damaged by what looked attractive in temporary moments. My child, some of the greatest acts of my love in your life were prayers I did not answer the way you expected. You asked for certain people to stay, but I removed them because they were draining life from your spirit slowly. You begged for certain opportunities to succeed, but I blocked them because success there would have led you away from the future I planned for you. You cried over delays, not realizing those delays were protecting you from arriving too early into places where your soul would have been crushed. You interpreted silence as abandonment while all along I was rearranging your path carefully so destruction would not overtake you. There were moments when your life should have completely fallen apart, yet somehow you remained standing. Have you ever wondered why? There were emotional breakdowns that should have destroyed your peace permanently, but I strengthened your mind quietly. There were nights when despair became so heavy that it should have consumed your hope entirely, but somehow a small part of you kept fighting to survive. That was me. There were moments when anxiety wrapped around your thoughts so tightly that you thought you would lose yourself completely, yet I held your mind together when fear tried tearing it apart. You keep underestimating how involved I have been in your survival story. Even when you doubted me, I was still protecting you. Even when you stopped praying consistently, I still watched over your life. Even when anger filled your heart because you could not understand why certain things happened, I still refused to abandon you. My love for you has never depended on perfect faith. My love remains steady even during seasons when your spirit becomes tired and confused. I know how deeply life wounded you. I know how disappointment changed your ability to trust. But through all of it, my hand never left your life. There were times when you almost made choices that would have taken you into darkness you could not yet see clearly. In moments of loneliness, desperation, exhaustion, and emotional weakness, the enemy tried placing shortcuts in front of you. You whispered that temporary comfort would heal permanent pain. You whispered that giving up would finally bring peace. You whispered that nobody cared enough for your survival to matter. But every time darkness tried pulling you toward destruction, my spirit fought for you. Sometimes through conviction, sometimes through interruption, sometimes through unexplained delays, sometimes through sudden discomfort that made you walk away from situations you thought you wanted. That was not coincidence, my child. That was my hand shielding your future. Comment, you are my greatest victory, God, if His power has lifted you. There were nights when your emotions became so dangerous that heaven moved closely around you. Angels watched over you while you cried in rooms nobody else entered. My presence filled spaces where hopelessness tried settling permanently over your mind. You thought you were alone because human eyes could not see what was happening spiritually around you. But the truth is, there were moments when heaven stood between you and complete destruction while you sat unaware of the war being fought over your future. My child, listen carefully now because this part matters deeply. You are still here for a reason. Not because life had been easy. Not because pain failed to reach you. Not because the enemy did not try to destroy your confidence, your peace, your purpose, and your future. You are still here because every attack against your life had to pass through my hands first. And there were many things I simply refused to allow. You think certain moments were luck. No. That unexpected delay was me. That sudden change of plans was me. That uncomfortable feeling warning you to walk away was me. That closed door you cried over was me. That friendship ending before it ruined your peace completely was me. That moment you somehow found strength to survive another day when you thought you had nothing left, that was me too. My hand has been woven through every chapter of your life, even the painful ones. And still, despite everything I have done to keep you alive, you continue questioning your worth. You continue wondering if your life matters to me. My beloved child, if only you understood how fiercely heaven has protected your existence. If only you knew how many times darkness asked for your destruction while I declared over your life, not this one. This child still carries purpose. You are not ordinary to me. You are deeply loved, deeply watched over, deeply protected. Even in seasons when you felt forgotten, my eyes never left you for a single moment. The enemy wanted your suffering to convince you that I abandoned you. But your survival itself is proof that I stayed. Every scar you carry is evidence that pain touched your life but failed to destroy your destiny completely. Every tear you cried mattered to me. Every fearful thought was heard by me. Every lonely night was witnessed by me. And every time darkness tried convincing you to quit, I breathed strength back into your spirit quietly so you could survive one more day. You still wonder why you feel emotionally exhausted sometimes. It is because you survived battles far heavier than most people ever realized. You carried emotional pain while still trying to function normally. You fought spiritual battles while still showing up for responsibilities every day. You kept breathing through heartbreak, disappointment, fear, confusion, loneliness, and silent suffering. My child, survival alone required enormous strength. And through every moment of it, my hand remained over your life. So stop calling yourself weak because you became tired. Stop condemning yourself because certain seasons almost broke you emotionally. You survived things that should have erased your hope completely. And the reason you survived is not because you were abandoned to figure life out alone. You survived because I personally carried you through valleys you could not have crossed without me. One day you will look back at seasons that currently confuse you and finally understand why certain doors closed. One day you will realize that many painful endings were actually divine protection. One day you will see clearly how often my hand rescued you from futures you thought you wanted but would not have survived emotionally or spiritually. And when that day comes, your heart will finally understand this truth completely. You were never surviving alone. My hand has been holding you from the very beginning, and it still is now. My beloved child, there is something I must speak into your spirit now because you still do not fully understand how close you came to losing yourself completely. There was a season when the darkness around you became so heavy that even your own thoughts began turning against you. You smiled in front of people while secretly fighting battles that terrified you. You kept functioning on the outside while inside you felt like everything was collapsing slowly. And there were moments, real moments, when you no longer wanted to keep carrying the pain. You became tired of surviving, tired of pretending, tired of waking up to the same emotional weight every day. And in those silent moments, when nobody else could hear the thoughts inside your mind, I heard them clearly. I heard the part of you that whispered, "I cannot keep doing this." I heard the exhaustion in your soul when you wondered if disappearing would finally bring peace. I heard the dangerous hopelessness trying to settle over your spirit like darkness swallowing light. And my child, this is what I need you to know now more than ever before. I blocked the exit. I would not let your story end there. I would not allow pain to become the final chapter over your life. Even when you stopped fighting for yourself, I continued fighting for you. You thought you were simply exhausted, but there was spiritual warfare happening around your life at levels you could not see. The enemy was not merely attacking your emotions. He was targeting your future. He was trying to convince you that your life carried no purpose because he feared what would happen if you ever fully realized who you are to me. He wanted your pain to blind you from your calling. He wanted disappointment to disconnect you from hope permanently. He wanted isolation to become the prison where your purpose slowly died. But I would not allow darkness to steal what belongs to me. There were nights when hopelessness sat beside you whispering lies so quietly that they almost sounded true. Lies telling you nobody would miss you. Lies telling you your future would never improve. Lies telling you you were too damaged to recover. Lies telling you that your existence no longer mattered. And because your heart was already wounded, those lies started sounding believable. You became emotionally exhausted from carrying silent pain for too long. You stopped seeing possibilities ahead of you. You stopped recognizing your own value. But while you sat there feeling forgotten, heaven was surrounding you with protection. You still do not know how many times I interrupted thoughts that could have destroyed you. You do not know how many times my spirit pulled you back from emotional edges you were dangerously close to falling over. There were moments when darkness tried convincing you to surrender completely, but suddenly something inside you hesitated. Suddenly a memory surfaced. Suddenly a small voice inside you whispered to hold on one more day. Suddenly exhaustion loosened its grip just enough for you to breathe again. That was not random, my beloved child. That was me standing between you and the exit the enemy desperately wanted you to take. I know there were moments when you felt angry with me because life became so painful. I know there were times you questioned why I allowed certain heartbreaks, betrayals, disappointments, and losses to happen at all. You wondered where I was while your spirit was drowning under the weight of everything you carried. But my child, even during those moments when you felt abandoned, I was holding your future together carefully. I knew pain was speaking loudly to your emotions, but I also knew something you could not yet see. Your story was not finished. You were looking at temporary suffering while I was looking at eternal purpose. You were looking at your current wounds while I was looking at the person you would become after surviving them. You thought the battle was only about surviving another difficult day, but heaven understood the greater picture. There are people connected to your future who still need your voice, your story, your compassion, your survival. There are lives your testimony will one day touch. There are broken people you will help simply because you understand pain deeply now. And the enemy knew this. That is why the attacks became so intense. My child, there were moments when you sat in silence feeling emotionally numb because your soul became too tired to keep processing pain anymore. You disconnected from joy because disappointment hurt too much. You became afraid to hope because every unanswered prayer felt like another wound. You stopped expecting good things because survival itself became exhausting. But even in your numbness, I stayed near. Even when you stopped recognizing yourself, I still recognized you completely. I still saw the light inside you that pain failed to destroy. The enemy wanted you to believe that weakness made you worthless. But weakness never scares me away. I move closest to wounded hearts. I stay nearest to exhausted souls. I know how heavy life has been for you. I know how many silent battles you have fought without anyone fully understanding what you carried emotionally. And that is exactly why I refuse to let darkness erase your future. You may have felt weak, but weakness does not cancel purpose. Tears do not cancel destiny. Exhaustion does not cancel my calling over your life. Do you understand how deeply loved you are? If you did, you would realize why heaven fought so fiercely to keep you here. There were moments when your mind became a battlefield, yet my love kept reaching for you through the darkness. There were moments when hopelessness almost convinced you to stop caring about your future, yet I kept breathing life back into your spirit quietly. There were moments when loneliness became unbearable, yet my presence remained beside you even when you could not feel it clearly. You thought nobody noticed how badly you were struggling, but I noticed every detail. I noticed the heaviness in your breathing. I noticed the emptiness behind your smile. I noticed how often you cried alone because you did not want others worrying about you. I noticed how tired your soul became from carrying emotional pain silently every day. And my beloved child, because I saw it all, I stepped in. I blocked the exit because your life still matters deeply to me. Say, I will worship you in the waiting if you're standing on unseen promises. And share this video.